Hi, I've had a bit of a change in thoughts today based on some watching some videos this morning on my walk. This whole I adamantly said I'm not going to use the words trans woman because I don't believe they exist, to be honest, because that implies that a man can transition into an adult female human, and they can't. So I'm just adamant and not used it. I use trans, transgender, or trans-identified man. I don't think it's insulting, it describes what they are. But trans woman, I don't like. But these are the thought changes I've had this morning. I actually would use the term trans women or woman if trans women acknowledge that they're not actually women, that there is the word woman that describes a female adult human, and then there is trans woman that describes them, which means they would also have to forego anything that says woman on it has been theirs or their entitlement. So that would mean women's toilets, women's sports, women's showers, women's prisons, everywhere that's been designed for women, which would leave them with just their male spaces where they've come from. Now I understand that they won't like that, and that's not what they want. But like women of old, say the suffragettes at the beginning of in the early 1900s, what they had to go through to get the vote, the pain and suffering and the death that they went through. So a lot of them didn't even ever see women get the vote, and some of them only saw them get the vote once they'd reached 30. So they all didn't see what all their struggling got. So it's the same with the trans people. They should campaign, lobby, find the funds, and they should get their own toilets. They should get their own sports. They should get their own prisons. Prisons are a bigger thing. They're much bigger. I get that. So a wing of a prison. But these are solutions. These are things to strive for. And I would fully support them, help them find the money. I would do all that, because then if they had their own, say, cubicle, for like the disabled have a separate cubicle, if the trans people had their own cubicle, then they'd have obviously their dignity and privacy, which is absolutely afforded to everybody. But they wouldn't be judged, and they wouldn't make anybody else uncomfortable. And isn't that the goal? Wouldn't they be happy with that? I'd like to think most of them would. But I think there would be the few that wouldn't be happy with that, because they want things now, and they want woman. That's what they want. So those people just wouldn't be prepared to put in the hard yards that, say, women have to get their spaces today. They wouldn't be prepared to put in that. And it would show you exactly what they are. They're selfish. They just want what they want now. And with sports, yeah, it will take time and it will take money, but it can be done. Trans games, trans sports, trans Olympics, they can all happen if they campaign. Now they won't get it straight away. It might be the next decade that sees the next generation that sees trans sports. But surely that's what they're looking for. They're looking for inclusion without exclusion. So instead of invading women's sports, create their own sports. It'll take time, like I say, but they'll get there in the end. I mean, it sounds completely selfish from my point of view, because I'm a woman and I've got my woman's things now. They've all been done for me. Well, that's how times change. Now we're in the time of trans, and if trans exists, as it does, this dysmorphia or autogynephilia or whatever it's called, it is happening. People feel like they've been born into the wrong body. To me, it's a mental illness, and they really need the help for it. But if the help they get is to transform their bodies medically so that they look like the opposite sex, then that's fair enough. But that doesn't mean that they're opposite sex, so they shouldn't be afforded those safe spaces. So yeah, so I'm absolutely prepared to use the words trans women to describe men who identify as women, but only if they forego using the word woman. So when they organise marches for women, they understand it's not for them. It's a safe space for women, biological women. They don't want men there. Any men that were men and now women, or however they identify, however, it would be a march for women, biological women, and they couldn't argue transphobia or non-inclusion, because if they wanted a march, they could have a march for trans women. If they organise marches and they're for women and trans women, there you go. But if there are marches or anything like that organised and they're specifically for women, then the trans people know it's not for them, it's not involving them. They should get their own. They're growing in numbers, so you can definitely get the support that you need. So for me, do that. So as soon as that's in motion, I will call trans people trans women. I will use that. But until then, I will just refer to the trans, transgender and trans-identified man until that happens. And I hope to see the day we have transgender toilets, transgender sports. It would seem like the world is going in the right direction and everybody is being catered for. That's what I see. So, cheers.